Welcome to the Ingrid Centurion Podcast. I am retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel, Iraq War veteran, Black Hawk pilot, and founder of Generations for America, Ingrid Centurion. In this podcast, we discuss America's constitutional battles and undertake in engaging and comprehensive interviews with legal experts, whistleblowers, and insiders. We uncover the stories that others won't touch, from government overreach to erosion of liberties. Each episode dives into today's most pressing issues and empower listeners with knowledge to protect their rights. No fluff, no spin, just raw conversations for serious times. Have you ever attended an outrageous meeting? Members were so disrespectful. It's time you master Robert's Rules of Order with Generations for America. You will learn what is a deliberative assembly and how organizations create rules to conduct business. It's about the overall membership of an organization, expressing its general will through the assembly of its members, both to establish and empower an effective leadership as it wishes, and at the same time to retain exactly the degree of direct control over its affairs that it chooses to reserve to itself. Roberts is about protecting your rights as a member, about protecting the rights of the majority, of the minority, of individual members, of absentees. Remember, we do not want a small group of people making up their own rules and controlling everything. That's why I need you to go to generationsforamerica.com and register today. Our next class is starting September 4th through October 2nd.
This is the Ingrid Centurion Podcast.
And we are recording now. Thanks, Frank. I'm so glad that we can talk about what's happening in California and LA, the riots, the protesters. It's just literally out of control. I wanted to know what you were telling me yesterday when we were having a conversation on what you feel is going to be the, MO, the method of operation for this summer.
Well, a few months ago, I predicted, I was talking to my brother, who lives in Pennsylvania, and I said, when the summer comes, there will be an incident like the George Floyd incident that will be the signal for a wide range of people to engage first in protests and then in destructive riots from coast to coast in every major city in this country. It's it is the plan that played out in the summer of 2020. It is financed, it is organized, it is pre-planned. I don't think there's much question about it. And they didn't wait for a George Floyd type incident. So it seems that the people engaged in destroying the rule of law in our country seized upon ICE, Immigration Custom Enforcement, apprehending and detaining people in the United States illegally, people unlawfully present in our country, and beginning the process of deportation of these people. And by and large, the people they are apprehending are people with serious criminal records. Many of them are under removal orders already. ICE had warrants for almost all of the people they have picked up, and it was over 100 people in Los Angeles, which is a tiny, small fragment of the population. And in the process of picking up people for whom they have warrants, if they encounter other people unlawfully present, ICE has the authority under our immigration laws to detain and remove them.
Listen, they didn't even wait 6 months, right? It's June now, and this summer, this is the plan. Like you're saying, the left plans these things out. Their target is the ICE agency, which is a rather small agency, actually, when you look at it. And they're doing their job, but the rhetoric, they're going to twist this all around. They just arrested David Huerta. He is a union president out in California, and he's out there protesting with them.
Well, I don't think it's just protesting, and I think we have to be careful of our choice of words.
That's true.
He wasn't just protesting. People protesting is, especially with the permit, protesting is permissible. It's guaranteed free speech. David Huerta was engaged in interfering with and attempting to block the actions of federal law enforcement officers seeking to discharge their lawful duties. And that is not protest. That is a violation of law. So he was arrested for that. And I think we have to be careful about our choice of words. These are not immigrants. These are persons unlawfully in the United States or illegal immigrants, and there is a big difference between the two. And these are not protests. In many cases, these are people engaged in violence and arson, and also assaulting federal officers. It happened in Newark a few weeks ago.
Well, but
now Los Angeles.
Right, I know, but what I'm saying is this event was planned. We know that, right? We see these kids out there. They look young. They're violent. The incident. So today, people are protesting in other locations. I just saw them in Chicago. They were so that as far as coordinated, it's like one event leads to another event, and so everything is just people are so confused, right? It's
a replay of the summer of 2020. So from Los Angeles, it goes to San Francisco, then it will go to Portland, and then it will go to Asheville, North Carolina, and to Atlanta, and Philadelphia, and New York, and it will be all over the country very soon. The funny thing is that when Barack Obama was president, he was very vigorous in his deportation and use of ICE to remove people in the United States who are here illegally. None of this ever happened. This is a coordinated, planned attack by people who cannot accept the fact they lost the election to a man they despise, and this man has made it a obligation to, one, seal the border, which he has done very effectively, I might add, and to initiate deportation first of criminal illegal aliens in our country and of other illegal aliens besides. So these people, this is, in a sense, an insurrection. Surprise, surprise. But this is an insurrection that all the Democratic Party officials, senators, governors, mayors, this is an insurrection they approve of.
But did you hear about the Democrat politicians who were all talking about how dare ICE cover their faces when ICE agents have been threatened? They have personally been threatened. Their families have been threatened. I remember when I lived in El Paso, we had many ICE agents live where we lived, and they were threatened. And so they always kept what they did private. But for the politicians, instead of, they go after ICE agents. There's congressmen saying, how dare the ICE agents cover their faces? But yet, when the riots were happening in the state of Washington, they didn't say that.
This is the Ingrid Centurion Podcast.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States where men were free. That's a quote by Ronald Reagan. And I say that because we are here. We are here when we have judges violating the Constitution from the bench. We are here when we have parents who have no rights over their children in government public schools. The overreach of our local government, county government, state government, and national federal government is at an all-time high. And everybody sees what's going on today. And that's why we at Generations for America are focusing all our energies on teaching the Constitution from a law enforcement perspective. I say we're living in lawless times. Our constitutional seminar is called The Shield of Rights, and we will be having Zoom calls, webinars every Monday starting July 14th from 7 to 8 p.m. Understanding the Constitution requires continuous study for everyone, for every American citizen. And we truly believe, everyone at Generations for America believes in that. We believe that this nation was built on moral foundations. When the foundation of any home is destroyed, the frame of that home crumbles, and it crumbles quickly. And that's where we are today. And that's why we need as many organizations out there as possible who know the Constitution, who study the Constitution. And it's not an opinion of it. It's not their own interpretation. We really need to understand the principles, the framework. And once we have that in a coordination with understanding American history, we can move forward to defend our freedoms and defend our liberties, as we see every day they're being taken away from us.
You're listening to the Ingrid Centurion podcast.
Well, the politicians have been vilifying ICE for months now, calling them Nazis, Gestapo, stormtroopers, when all they are doing is apprehending people in this country illegally and deporting and detaining them and deporting them, giving them due process, I might add, because there is nothing that requires that every one of these people is supposed to have a jury trial or a trial before a federal judge before being deported. The due process that illegal aliens have is very basic and rudimentary, and ICE, by and large, is conforming to that. But our politicians are attacking federal law enforcement officers who are doing their jobs, and they are refusing to condemn the violence of the mobs. And that's what they are, mobs who are engaged in interfering with the discharge of federal duty. This is the breakdown of law. This is the breakdown of the rule of law. And every politician who says they care about the rule of law, no, they actually support the rule of the lawless.
And now we're hearing about Governor Newsom and the President Trump's latest comment. Now, California has gone through so many things. I mean, their fires, their lack of water. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. When is Newsom ever going to take, credit for all the devastation that has happened in California?
Well, he never will, and we shouldn't expect him to. Newsom is presiding over a state that is, or not for illegal immigration, would be losing population dramatically. And it's facing all kinds of budget problems. They declared themselves a sanctuary state, and fine. The federal government cannot commandeer the states to enforce federal laws. It's called the anti-commandeering principle. There are at least 2 Supreme Court decisions about that. But by the same token, the state cannot interfere with the discharge of federal duties by federal officers. The state cannot do it, whether they consider sanctuary. That violates the very fundamental nature of our federal system of government. We settled this in the Civil War. The states are not supreme. The federal government and the laws made pursuant to our Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Newsom is a loser. He thinks he's going to run for president. I mean, he actually wants the Democratic nomination, I believe. He's going to have to fight Kamala and AOC for it. And I might tell you something. If he were the Democratic nominee, I don't think he'd carry many more states other than California, Oregon, Washington, Hawaii, and New York, Massachusetts, maybe not even New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, Vermont. He'd carry a handful of states. The man has absolutely no appeal outside of California. He's superficial. He's equivocal. He's a charlatan, and he's incompetent.
He is so incompetent, and that is what President Trump said. He said, he's so funny. He says, he likes Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent, just like you said. And everybody knows it. All you have to do is look at the little railroad he's building, Trump said. And I just thought that is unbelievable. Trump also said all the same things that you said, that these are professional agitators and insurrectionists. Homan is doing such a great job out there, and you have so much experience on our border. And those ICE agents, they're working so hard, and we just need to make sure that they're allowed to continue to do their job and make sure we communicate this message on every channel possible so that the American people are seeing what's really going on in this country. So,
well, the worst thing the government can do now is desist from doing what's called interior enforcement and workplace enforcement. They need to continue to find, apprehend, detain, and deport those people who are in the United States illegally, especially those people who are guilty of serious criminal offenses. And the government needs to do that. And if they face insurrectionists in the street, the saboteurs, violent riots, the federal government needs to federalize the NAC. And Newsom is wrong. He says he's suing Trump. He said he needs the consent of the governor. No, Dwight Eisenhower did not need the consent of Governor Orville Faubus in, I think it was 1957 or 1958, when he federalized the National Guard to integrate the schools in Little Rock, Arkansas. John F. Kennedy did not need the consent of the governor of Mississippi when he federalized the National Guard in Mississippi to force desegregate the University of Mississippi in Oxford. Presidents, ever since Eisenhower, have federalized National Guard to maintain order and have not done so without the consent of the governors. And I think this is another case where Governor Newsom has either no knowledge of the law, is deliberately spreading falsehoods, but the courts, of course, I'm certain, will uphold Donald Trump's authority. It's the authority of the president to federalize the National Guard to restore order.
And
it's been done by several presidents in our lifetime.
Right. And that's all great history that you're sharing that, so our listeners can hear this. But what's interesting to me as we watch this unfold in front of our eyes is there is a labor leader protest outside the FBI headquarters right now. So we're going to be seeing these protests. So one incident sparks all these things for them to just jump on, and they activate like little soldiers all across the country.
They were like a coiled spring, waiting for the signal to jump into action. And that's the perfect word. It's coordinated. It's planned. They think they're going to make the country ungovernable. They think they're going to make the country so uncomfortable that people will turn against Trump. First of all, it doesn't matter. Trump's not running for re-election, number one. And number two, these people... they are actually going to have the opposite effect. And Donald Trump is the best thing he could do is continue enforcing our immigration laws, one, and number two, respond forcefully, not with violence, not with bullets unless necessary, but respond forcefully with overwhelming force to stop the violent riots, to stop violent riots. That's what he must do.
And he's doing exactly like you said. He deployed the National Guard. He's not going to. He's making his decisions. He's doing everything by the book and in accordance with the Constitution. And that's why this is so great. That these are lessons for us to realize that we must get back to the Constitution and governance
and the rule of law. The rule of law. The left keeps talking about the rule of law when they are, in fact, advocating the most lawless conduct imaginable. There is, they were aghast at people entering in trespass into the Capitol on January 6th. And that was a violation of law. There were people who assaulted federal officers. There were people who broke and damaged federal property and stole federal property. That was wrong. This is also wrong.
That's right.
Democrats condemn one and they condone the other, which shows you that it's not about the rule of law for them. It's about they want to have rule by the mob.
Exactly right.
Majority, but by the minority. They want to have minority rule and rule of this country by what I call the margins.
Very true. Very true. Well, thanks, Frank, for talking about this today. We got to talk every single day because there's so much happening that we need to share. So thank you, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.
All right.
More information?
That's right.
I by the way, I have written materials on all of this stuff, the power of the president.
Okay.
And I have all of that. I don't know if you have a website where I can post that so people can read it.
Send it to me and I will post it and put it all out there and even email it out because it's very important. Thanks for listening to the Ingrid Centurion podcast. Be sure to join me every week as we bring you inspiring guests, facts, and hard-earned lessons. Find us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or in your favorite podcast app. If you would like to be a guest, get involved, or find out about sponsorship opportunities, reach out to us at ingridcenturion.com or generationsforamerica.com. Thank you, and we'll see you next week, so tune in for more conversations.